Hello and welcome to Chapter 6, the Integumentary System. We are going to look at the organ of the skin and look at its different layers. Then we're going to look briefly at the accessory structures, the three main functions of skin, and then very briefly we will look at repair and the diseases that go with it. So to begin with, when you look at a cross section of the skin, you have the epidermis, which is the top, the dermis, which is the other part of the skin, and then underneath the dermis you have the subcutaneous layer where adipose tissue and the nerves are found. The main divider between the epidermis and the dermis is this layer of stem cells, which are cells that are still growing and reproducing because they do not have a destination yet. This layer is called the stratum basal. And you have another layer we care about is the stratum corneum, which is the dead layer on top. So when we look at the, first off the layers, there's epidermis, epi meaning on top, and dermis meaning underneath. Then on the outer portion, you have stratified squamish, which is avascular. I'm not sure if you've done this as a kid, but you can poke a pin through your outer layer of your finger and you not bleed. That's because there's no blood vessels here. It is basically dead. It's keratinized protein, and it is basically there to protect you from wear and tear. Then underneath the epidermis is where you have the dermis. And the dermis has the connective tissue. This is where you have hair follicles, sebaceous glands, which are oil glands, sudoriferous glands, which are sweat glands, and the sensoreceptors and the blood vessel. It is important, the epidermis is important for protection and nourishment. It also gives your skin elasticity, and this is where your sense receptors are. Then underneath the dermis is the subcutaneous layer, sub meaning below. This is where you have connective tissue. This is where you have your adipose for insulation, and you have blood vessels for temperature regulation. Okay, so when you look at it, you have your epidermis, the stratum basal is between, then you've got the dermis and the subcutaneous layer. I will not ask you to label this diagram, but you do need to know the parts. So when we look at the parts, let's look at accessory organs. The accessory organs have sebaceous glands, which are oil glands. The oil gland is actually there to lubricate your skin and to waterproof your skin. And quite often, especially in the beauty society, you're constantly scrubbing off your oils and then you're putting back on again. I say don't wash your hair, because don't wash your hair every day, because those natural oils help actually keep your hair and skin shiny and healthy. Then you have your sweat glands. Now when you look at the diagram, the sweat glands are all coily. So here is your sweat gland, which is all coily. And when you look at your oil glands are usually related to the hair follicle. And that is, here we go, here's a sebaceous gland. That's because it helps lubricate your hair and keep your hair shiny and healthy. There are also indentations. So an indentation, sebaceous oil glands. Curly are sudoriferous or sweat glands. Okay. Then you also have, your sweat glands are also used as a way to eliminate water and to cool your body. So it is actually good and healthy to sweat. Unfortunately, there's bacteria in the sweat and they will produce a waste product, which is what that stinky body odor is. Okay. Other accessory glands we look at are hair. Your hair is dead, but it is it's actually there to conserve heat. You don't notice it so much in mammals because we remove or change most of the hair on the body, but you notice it in a cat or a dog. When a cat or a dog gets cold or scared, their hair will stand on end and they will fluff it up to trap air in it. Or birds, a perfect example of how they will take feathers as opposed to hair and trap that heat in between. Then we also have nails. The purpose of the nails is not to look pretty, but it is for protection, and it also is to help grasp objects. Okay? There's a bunch of different parts to the nail bed. Basically, I want you to realize the nail is growing. It grows from this end out. When we look at the functions of the integumentary system, 4 main functions. Protection from infection. The skin is actually seen as your first line of defense. Protection from dehydration. You would dry out really quickly if you didn't have skin. Regulation of body temperature by cooling due to sweating. And your hair standing on end, which warms you up. And also it is a way to collect sensory information. So to protect from infection, your skin acts as a primary barrier. It's an interlocking pattern with those squamate cells, and that will resist penetration. You can also, your skin sheds, and with it, skin shedding comes off your pathogens. And it is actually a very good protector against toxins and environmental chemicals. Your skin prevents you from dehydrating, and that's because you have your keratin, which is your dead protein, and sebum is released from the sebaceous gland. So you, in most situations, stay oily, and the oil helps protect you from water loss. Also, you regulate your body temperature. If you get hot, your blood vessels will constrict. If you get hot, your blood vessels will dilate. Dilating, it puts more blood to your face. That's why you get flushed. Heat can come out from your blood vessels. Also, you will sweat, and the sweat will put a layer of water on your skin. As it evaporates, there is a cooling process. Then, if you are too cold, your hair will stand on end. It's kind of like goosebumps. And ideally, that is to trap oxygen around you. Making you warm up. Now, so we have skin protecting from dehydration, regulating your body, and the 4th one is sensory information. Your skin is very sensitive. You have free nerve endings. You have touch receptors, which are on the surface, those are called Massian corpuscles, and you have deep receptors called Pacinian corpuscles. And when you look at the diagram of the skin, they have a little different shape. The Massian corpuscle is smaller. The pressure receptor, the Meissner corpuscle is smaller. Touch receptors, the deeper pressure receptors, the Pacinian corpuscle, are larger. Both have nerve endings, which will then be sent to your brain for processing. When you look, there's a lot of diseases, and the diseases, first off, when you're looking at diseases, you're looking usually for colors, lesions, and the presence of burns. Now, this unit's got some nasty stuff in it. So basically, a lesion is a wound, and it is named based on how deep it goes. And there's some nasty pictures. This is why I couldn't be a nurse. You guys are amazing to look at this. And then also when you look at burns are classified based on the depth and the amount of surface area. There's something called the rule of nines in terms of giving your body an estimation. I just want you to be aware of this. I will not ask you if you burn your back, what percentage is it done. As you age, when you get age, it affects your skin, your pigment, your hair, your sweat glands. It's affecting everything. Your skin will sag because you don't have so much collagen. Your hair goes gray because it's losing color in it. Your sweat glands and your circulation will decrease. Okay. Just a quick rundown on the skin. Just to summarize, what I want you to know on the skin is the basic layers: epidermis, dermis, and subcutaneous. Then you need to know the stratum basal, basal and the stratum corneum are the only two stratums. Then you need to know the difference between a sebaceous gland and a sodoriferous gland. Then for functions of the integument system, I want you to know those. And that's pretty much it for the integumentary system until you get to patho, when you get to learn all about lesions and burns and fistulas and nasty skin things.